Hey friends, what's up? Phillip here with Points of Phillip, and I'm actually coming to you again with more breaking news because, well, Capital One just completely ceded the crown of the best lounge card out there. So let's get into today's news. So the Points guy announced that, first of all, if you hold the Venture X card, you will no longer be able to gift lounge access to your authorized users. Now, up until this point, Capital One Venture X card holders were able to basically essentially add a certain number of authorized users for free, and then those authorized users were able to actually get their own priority pass and then have their own lounge access. However, basically what's going to happen now is that Capital One has decided that if you own the Capital One Venture X or the Venture X business, you will have to pay $125 each year for each authorized user to unlock lounge access. Now, this includes Capital One lounges, Capital One landings, which are kind of the smaller lounges but not lounges, and then also access to the Priority Pass network. And so essentially what Capital One has done is ensured that Chase has the best lounge card in the business, and that's the Ritz-Carlton Credit Card. Now, let's talk about the Venture X card, and then we'll talk about the Ritz-Carlton card as well, and then we can kind of compare and contrast. So the Venture X card has a $395 annual fee, but you get a $300 travel credit, and then 100 or 1,000, basically $100 in points back. And so, basically, essentially, the argument has been up until this point that the card pays you to hold it. And so, essentially, between having, being, the effective annual fee of being, them giving you $5, and then also the fact that, you could give lounge access to your people, like this essentially was one of the best premium card, and in fact, the cheapest premium card out there. And so, well, that title has also been ceded. So essentially, basically, if you have one authorized user and you're paying $395 plus $125, well, that's going to get you well north of the $450 annual fee of the Ritz-Carlton card. Now, the Venture X card gets you 2 points per dollar on everything, and it also has no foreign transaction fees, the whole 9 yards. It's got a lot of bells and whistles, including some rental car status matches and things like that. Now, the Ritz-Carlton card here has a $450 annual fee, but now it is the only kind of very capital, O on the only. This is the only card that gives you that lounge access for your authorized users for free. And so let's get into what this one does and kind of compare. So the Venture X got you access to the Capital One lounges and then also to the Priority Pass lounges, which incidentally would include one free visit of Chase Sapphire Lounge. Now, the Ritz-Carlton card gives you the same lounge access that you would get with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not exactly the same. I believe with the Ritz-Carlton, you don't actually have access to the Maple Leaf lounges with Air Canada. But anyway, so the Ritz-Carlton credit card, it gives you, so each one of your authorized users gets immediate access to Priority Pass. And they actually have the Priority Pass where they can have free guests as well. And so if my wife, who's an authorized user on my Ritz-Carlton card, is say traveling with a business, a friend of hers, or if they're going on a business trip together, she can actually access these lounges using her Priority Pass associated with this card, and then get that person in. So I'm the card holder, I'm the primary card holder, right? And I'm not anywhere near it, but she's able to get her own guests in. And so that's kind of nice. And so that actually includes too the Chase Sapphire lounges as well. And so that's a very stark comparison to the Capital One lounges, which now essentially it's $45 for each guest. And it's also, if you just have the Venture card, you can also pay to access the Capital One lounges at $45 a person as well. And so first of all, we have unlimited access to the Chase Sapphire lounges, which there aren't that many, to be fair, but there also really aren't that many Capital One lounges either. And so that's important to note. Now, the one, so you have Priority Pass, and then you also have, the Chase Sapphire Lounge access. But what's also really important to know too is the Chase Priority Pass seems to, from what I'm reading on Reddit, give people more access to more lounges easier access to more lounges than, say, like the American Express Priority Pass or the Capital One Priority Pass. So it seems like there's some sort of a hierarchy where the Chase Priority Pass is able to give more people access to more lounges, or at least not have to wait as long. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. But anyway, so getting back to the Ritz-Carlton credit card, so this has, first of all, it earns Marriott points. It earns 6 Marriott points per dollar on Marriott purchases. And then it earns 3 points per dollar on a host of other things, including dining and things like that, and then 2 points per dollar on everything else. And so that's this. And so it actually so it has $450 annual fee, but it also has the $300 the $300 travel credit. And so this is interesting because you can actually use this travel credit. So it's supposed to be used for airline fee incidentals, things like that. But I've had a lot of people say that you just call in, ask them to apply the credit towards like hotel charges or rental car charges, and it can be accepted. So that's very strong. Your mileage may vary, but so this has incredible lounge access, but it has that $300 the free night or the $300 credit. Now I'm getting ahead of myself because the free night award is also important that you get with this card. So you get 85,000 point free night award after you've held this card for 1 year. And so those 85,000 points can really go a long way. And so you can see that can get you $500, $600, $700 in hotel fees taken off by using that free night award. And so essentially you're getting well above that $5 with the Ritz-Carlton back on that value if you're able to maximize that free night award. And so essentially, basically, this is the cheapest now on the market premium travel card if you have authorized users. Now, with the Capital One Venture X, the workaround here is if you are someone who uses those travel credits, it might make more sense for you to actually, for your player two, to try to get their own Venture X. So that could be really interesting. And so, that might work better, but if you do have a family and you're trying to get lounge access, this is going to be it. Essentially, there is no real functional limit on authorized users. So I have members of my extended family that are authorized users on this card so they can have lounge access, and that's all it is. Now, Matt Clausen's really going to be someone who's probably got to be in the comment section already talking about how he expects the annual fee on this to go up. We'll see. Obviously it is now the cheapest lounge card, the cheapest premium travel card. It has a lot of really great travel protections, including I was able to use this my first day of actually physically holding the card. I was able to use this to get my mom's car towed to a tire place after her tires blew. So, this is really a solid card, and now Capital One kind of seeded the game here. Now, let's get back into some of the Capital One news. So you can also pay $25 for children 17 and under, and children under 2 are free. So that's not really going to be a difference, but this whole change in lounge access is really going to be very interesting to see what happens. But anyway, thanks so much for listening and watching me and learning about this breaking news with me. And I appreciate you being here.